Fjords Board Game just got a reprint by Grail Games. Now we're going to go check out, is this game really worth your money? Look, in my hands is one of the better tactical abstract games from the last few years. There's lots to love about this game. So additions from the original first game. Firstly, we're going to have a longer 2-player variant, so whenever you want a longer game, you've got that option now. Second up is some Runestone expansions from Phil Walker Hardy, which is going to add to the replayability. But look, let's go into the game into a lot more detail, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts, plus also what other games I think are a great comparison to this game. Back in the studio. Before I give you my thoughts on the game, let's quickly go over how does the game of Fjords actually play. So the game is played over 2 separate phases. The first phase is the map phase. This is where we're going to be drawing hex tiles out of the bag, putting 4 of them on the table, choosing one of them to place out and start our map. This is how our Norwegian fjords are going to sort of expand out and grow. So when you put out a tile, just make sure that mountains match mountains, lakes match lakes, and you might have to sort of twist them around and make them work. But once you place your tile, you also get the choice to put out a longhouse. Now each player has 4 longhouses in their possession that they're going to have to place out during the map phase. Now the reason you put out these longhouses are because these are going to be the starting point for your villagers. And the villagers, they're going to expand and grow and explore these beautiful fjords, and that's how you're going to get victory points to win the game. So let's skip to phase 2 now. I like to call this the villager phase. So we've got all the beautiful map tiles out, we've got our longhouses out, now we're going to start putting these villagers out. So each player is going to put out 1 villager at a time, and again starting from the longhouse, and after that you can also expand from other villagers. Now these villagers, they have to follow the natural terrain that's sort of been made in these fjords, so the green grassy terrain, so they'll follow that around. They can't jump mountains, can't jump lakes. This is going to be a way you're going to be able to sort of, if you tactically work this out, you're going to be able to block your opponents in and maximize your scoring points. Now the other way you're going to score points is runestones. Runestones is an expansion that you can choose to play with if you want to, and they're going to come in 2 different forms of runestones. The first ones are going to come with tiles. So you're going to flip over a particular tile, it's going to have a little symbol on it, and then you can put that individual runestone on that tile. Now these runestones are going to come in 2 different forms. You're going to have ones that are going to give you sort of area majority around that runestone. The other one's also going to let you double the points for each villager surrounding that. So they're going to give you a couple of different ways to earn more points. The other type of runestones are going to be your individual runestones, and these are going to let you break the game in some sort of, give you some sort of advantage. So one of them lets you jump mountains, one lets you jump lakes, different things like that to just help you sort of expand out a bit further and be able to maximize those points. So that's pretty much the summary of how Fjords plays. Let's go in and let's check out my thoughts on the game. Now theme. Look, I love the idea of these Norwegian fjords, and look, they just look so stunning on the table, and the idea of these longhouses being, your central point for your villagers, going out and exploring, then bumping into other, competing tribes. Like, the whole thing is just wonderful. But at the end of the day, this is an abstract game, and it's a brutal abstract game at that. So it's quite tactical towards the end when you're putting these villagers out, but again, quite brutal as you're trying to cut off your opponent to maximize your scoring. Look, the theme works, but at the end of the day, look, it is sort of tacked on because it is an abstract game at its core. Next up is art, and we have some gorgeous Beth Sobel artwork. That board game cover art is just stunning. The waterfall, the lake, the boat, everything just looks stunning. Her art is that good. It should be up, framed up on walls instead of on board games. Like, she's so talented. And then on top of that, the tiles. The tiles are pretty simple. They're grass, mountains, water. 3 different items. But the way she sort of blended them all together, it just looks natural. When everything's laid out, all the tiles are on there, it just looks like some natural Nordic fjords from almost like from a photo. Like, it just looks natural. So hats off to you, Beth. That is a wonderful job with the artwork in this game. Next up is the mechanics. I love the fact this is separated over 2 different phases. The first phase, while it seems so simple, just putting out map tiles and making this beautiful scenery, there's so much more to think about. When you put out these longhouses, do you go play early and hope that you found a nice big area that you can grow out from? Do you wait patiently, wait for some runestones to come out and hopefully put your longhouse near those? Do you see an area that's sort of going to be tunneled off that you can canalize your opponent and hope that, they're going to get less, be able to grow out less from that area? There's so much depth and thought that goes into this first phase. Now the second phase. This part can be brutal. The first couple of decisions you're going to make, the first couple of villages you're going to put out is going to shape how the game unfolds. Now, the game can literally be won in these first couple of moves. If you can block off an opponent and they're going to get maybe 4 tiles and you're going to get 6 tiles from that area, that simple decision could win you the game. So look, I love the mechanics. They're quite simple, easy to pick up, easy to learn game, but with that sort of tactical depth, that's going to keep people coming back to it. This leads into replayability. Every game is going to feel slightly unique. The way the map tiles come out, your landscape of what's in front of you is going to look different, and that leads into a different tactical decisions during the end game. The other way that's going to add to replayability is the runestones. Now, I like to just play with a couple of different runestones, but you've got quite a few there to pick and choose from, and that will also help just give this game just a little bit more legs. Now for comparisons. There's actually quite a few games out on the market that give similar feelings to Fjords, both in theme and mechanics. The two that I came up with are Cascadia and Land vs. Sea. Cascadia has the same artist, Beth Sobel artwork. It's also got landscape hex tiles, very similar vibes. The difference with Cascadia is those animal tokens on top. So there's another game that you're playing on top where you're trying to match up the animal tokens in certain groups for your point allocation. Now Land vs. Sea, a little bit different. You're going to be either playing as the land or the sea. But the same thing happens where you're trying to turn around these landscape tiles and trying to match them up. And in this case, you're trying to, if you're playing land, you're trying to make as big a pocket of land as you can, but then closing it off, so creating an island. And you're doing the same thing with the sea, trying to create big pockets of sea and then closing it off, and that's how you're going to score your points. Now, how do I compare the three? To be honest, Cascadia is probably the best game of the three. Cascadia is such a great family game, and it's something that's well loved within our family. Next up, I would say Land vs. Sea. It's one of my partner's favorite games ever, and she absolutely loves it, and I adore it too. It's so much fun, very different artwork. It's almost cutesy artwork compared to the other two, but I just love Land vs. Sea. Now, even though Fjords came in last out of those three, I still think it's a really good game, and also sort of, I think you can have all three in your collection. So, overall, what do I think of it? I give this game a 7.5. I think it's a really solid experience. I just think there's a few other games that do this just that little bit better. Look, for a tile-laying abstract game, there's quite a few on the market. Add on top of that, it's also a nature-themed game, which is also very popular at the moment. So there's so much competition out there. But look, Beth Sobel artwork really helps this game. The runestone expansions, all those things really add to some really positive games. Now, the things I don't like about this. Look, the game can be completely and utterly ruthless. It is brutal. So there's been many moments there where I've been playing, one single move and my partner already knew, the game was over, or vice versa. You can almost tell by putting 1 or 2 villages out where the game's going, who's going to win. And those sort of things sort of make it just feel a little bit flat. As you're putting the rest of your villages out, you know you can't win, but you have to go through that motion. So there's just a few things there that just pull this game back a little bit, but I still think it's a good, solid experience. And for the right crowd, for the right audience, they're going to absolutely adore this game. So that's my thoughts on the game. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe. Help this get in the algorithm, help get it out and promote it to other people so more people can enjoy my content. If you have any comments on the game, if you've played the game, if you've got other tile-laying abstract games that you just love even more, let me know in the comments below. I'm Hoax, this is Board Game Bangers. Till next time, laters.